For day 2 of WarriorFit, again, we're at Canton Barbell with owner Michael Mercer. And for the first set of day 2, where he is going to demonstrate the curl up. So Michael will start laid out flat on the ground, arms by his side, and then he's going to curl himself up until just his back comes up off the ground as he lets himself down. So notice how he's going almost like rolling up and then unrolling back down, staying in control, not letting his legs do the work by coming up off the ground. Also, he's trying to be symmetrical, using his hands as guides and as counterweights. The way to make this easier is he'll come up and then hold that top position and then go back down. So by holding it, this will make it harder. This will make it more challenging for one repetition, so you may not be able to do as many, which is fine. That's the point of it. To make it harder, not only will you hold at the top, but then you will also accentuate how long it takes you to go back down, really making your abs work harder during the whole movement. For the second exercise in the first set of day 2, we have the overhead press. Here we see Michael doing the one arm variation. Also notice how he's emphasizing using his shoulder blade to push the arm up overhead, and he's also controlling it on the return. Also notice how he's keeping his arm in front of him, not letting his arm sway out to the side, making sure his rotator cuff is engaged. The way to make this easier is to lighten the load on one arm by using his dumbbell in both arms. So here he's going to use the same mechanics, but now just using both arms to send the weight overhead, and now controlling the return down with both arms and both shoulder blades, just as he had before. The way we would make this harder is by adding more weight. If you still needed an additional variation, return to the wall as you did in your warm-up. For set 2 of day 2, Michael's first going to demonstrate the anti-rotation press. So here he gets a cable, you of course could use a band, and he's now going to press that weight away from him. The emphasis of the anti-rotation press is to prevent the cable from rotating your torso back towards the machine or towards where the band is anchored. The way to make this easier is by leaning up against a sturdy structure, and he's pushing his arms towards that sturdy structure. The thing you should be pushing on should be on the inside. He's holding that position and he's going to relax briefly, and then he's going to push again. The way to make this harder is by simply adding more weight, putting more stretch on the band, or using a pause. For the second exercise in set 2, day 2, we have the glute bridge. Here Michael is set up on the floor with his abdominal set to keep his back in a neutral position. He's going to drive through his feet to lift his pelvis. He's going to continue to repeat this motion. It should just be coming from the hips. You should feel this in your glutes. The way to make this easier is that Michael is going to come up and hold a pause as he's doing repetitions. And then of course you may not be able to do as many, but then this will help you align yourself and be able to strengthen your glutes. You also could just not go up as far, holding whatever you feel comfortable, still feeling it in your glutes and not feeling it in your back. The way to make this harder is that Michael's going to take an implement such as a dumbbell or a medicine ball like he has here. He's going to rest it on his lap using his hands to stabilize it, and now he has extra weight to push up into the air. So again, it takes a little bit of balance, but he's driving that weight up just as he was his own body weight. You could also use a barbell if you have access to that. Another way to make this harder is to remove the implement and rather use just one leg to bring yourself up. Again, only moving towards this variation once you feel comfortable enough doing it two-legged. Other than that, the exact mechanics are no different. For the third exercise in set 2, we have the one-legged hip hinge or Romanian deadlift, RDL. Here, Michael has a weight in one hand that is opposite to the leg that he's working. And he's not letting his hips sway one way or the other, or his chest sway one way or the other, as he's slowly lowering himself down and then driving up through his hips just as he would with a squat, or just as he finished doing with the bridge a moment ago. To make this easier, instead of doing one-legged, we'll just simply do two-legged. Other than that, the mechanics should remain the same, where he's going to go up and down. The way to make this harder is you could simply add more weight. The final exercise in set 2, day 2, is the sit-up. Here Michael is laying in the same position that he assumed for the bridge. His hands are across his chest, and he is simply going to sit up now. So it's all right if the speed is not exactly the same up and down. Just make sure on the return that you aren't just falling down, keeping your feet firmly planted as you come up and down. The way to make this easier is that you can either anchor your feet underneath something, which will help stabilize you, or use your hands to crawl yourself up to the sitting position, and then cross your hands across your chest, and then control the way back down. The way to make this harder is you could either add a pause at the top, or make the weight back down slower, or of course you could hold a weight across your chest as you go up and down. For the third set of day 2, we have first the mountain climber. So here Michael's on the ground. He's going to get into a nice, good push-up plank position, back straight, as he starts to cycle his legs forward and backwards. So right now he's going at a moderate rate. The way to make this more challenging is you could simply speed up, or to make it easier, you could just slow it down. Another way to make this easier is go at that same speed that Michael was demonstrating at first, but instead elevating your hands. So there he has a box, where now he's moved over there. Now being less horizontal will then also make this easier. And then again, you can modify your speed based on your comfort level. For the second exercise in set 3, day 2, we have the thruster. Here Michael has 2 weights. He's going to hold them near his chest. He's going to do a full squat, and then at the top of that squat, he's then also going to press the weight up, using the same good shoulder mechanics that he did during the overhead press earlier today, and also the same good squat mechanics that we've been working on all the way. So again, just to demonstrate, he's showing keeping his back nice and straight as he presses all the way through using his shoulder blades, but also getting that full squat motion as he does the motion up and down. Of course, you can either increase the weight to make it harder, decrease it, or use no weight at all to make it easier. The final exercise in set 3, day 2, is the get up, stand up. Michael is going to start in the curl up position, and he's going to perform a curl up, but now coming all the way up onto his feet, doing a good squat and up, and then do the reverse on the way back down. Notice how he's controlling his descent, just as he did with the curl up and the sit up, and he's using good squat mechanics to bring himself to his feet all the way back down. Of course, you can use your hands as much as you need for this, and then you can make it harder by removing your hands, or you can make it harder by slowing down as you go up and down.